What's up guys, my name's Alex and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about time management. Now let's get straight into it in the interest of time. So guys, I've got 6 tips for you today that should help you improve your time management skills. These are all things that I've tried and tested myself, that I've learned and picked up over the years. As I've gotten older and busier in life, I've really learned to appreciate good time management and what efficiencies it can bring and how it can reduce stress or stop you kind of getting nothing done but feeling like you're always really busy. So I just wanted to share those with you guys today. So my first tip for you guys is to set goals and prioritize them. Now, I'm talking more so here on the daily or weekly level, these kinds of goals. So maybe before you go to bed the night before, consider 3 to 5 of the things you really want to complete the next day, or if you're talking about your work schedule, list out some of the most important things you know you're going to have to complete. It's very easy to get caught up in busy work, checking emails, talking to people, but you'll usually find there's a couple of major items that you want to get done for that day to be a bit of a success to you. By listing out these items and listing out their priorities, you kind of make sure and you hold yourself accountable that you need to get these done, and you need to get these done in these sort of order so that you have somewhere to jump from after you've completed something. If you just kind of let yourself wallow into work and you don't really have a clear focus, you'll find 30 to 60 minutes have gone by the time you've worked out what you really want to do first, and then you'll probably find that after you complete your first task or your first couple of tasks, you sort of start to lose that focus, that drive, that motivation. You don't have the clarity of what you want to do next, and then you kind of just get lost, and then you kind of just drift around aimlessly until you find what you need to do next. So by having a clear list, you can just sort of jump straight through them, and that's going to help you get a lot of things done, save the time between tasks, and help you stay more focused on the tasks at hand as well. So my next tip for you is to learn to say no. This one has been very important for myself to learn in my own career and personal life. If you're the kind of person that says yes to things, you don't like to let people down, you don't want to ever show a moment of weakness, you want to seem like you can take on the world and you can do everything, that's great, but it gets to a point where eventually people are going to start asking you to do too much and you're going to get overwhelmed, stressed out, and then it's going to start reflecting badly in your work. You're going to find that you can't concentrate because you've got this big mental burden of things you have to get done, and it's going to more likely make you procrastinate because you're going to be a bit too scared of this big daunting to-do list of things. So by learning to say no, it's going to do 2 things. Obviously it's going to free up your task list a little bit because people are going to stop adding on to it, but by asserting at the right times when to say no, I'm not saying you should say no to everything, but I'm saying that you should sort of list it against what you already have on your plate, what your priorities are, who's asking, what kind of urgency is it, how serious is it, could someone else do it. These are the things you need to take into account and be willing to say no, because after you've started saying no a few times, people are going to realize that, hey, this guy or this girl's time is more valuable. Maybe I shouldn't bug them with these little things that I could get someone else to do or that I could just do myself. So by asserting your time as more valuable, because it inherently is more valuable if you are that busy, people are going to start realizing that and treating it as such as well. So it's going to have that compound effect of being less busy as soon as you say no, and also being less busy moving forward with people now valuing your time a bit higher. So the next thing is to focus solely on your current task. I know a lot of my internet generation people will be very much like me in that you're probably used to having 3 browser tabs open, a podcast or some music going, 2 or 3 tasks on the go, you're getting messages, you're doing all this and that. That's cool when you're at home just doing whatever, or you don't really have any clear goals or ambitions for that that day or whatever. But when you actually want to get things done and you want to maximize your time, you really want to focus on the task at hand, because some people will say that you can multitask, but the statistics just don't back it up very well. Usually you can do 2 separate kind of activities quite well. For example, you can drive a car while having a conversation, but trying to, for example, do 2 things at work that require your concentration and your thought about something, you're not going to be able to do a very good job, because we don't have a very good ability to sort of split between the same mental capacity, if that makes sense. So if there's something you need to do, try and focus solely on it and just smash it out as quickly as you can. What you might say to me is, yeah, but I do things all the time and I don't have any problem splitting between them like that. Well, the problem is you don't even realize, but it's attention to detail, right? Sure, you might get the task done, but if you haven't given it your full concentration and focus, how will you know if you haven't picked up on areas that could have been improved, or things that someone else hasn't found that are wrong yet that maybe you could have found, or how could you have worked out a way of doing something quicker? If you're kind of just passively jumping between the 2 without really immersing yourself and getting into that flow state in something, you're never going to sort of unlock that extra level of efficiency and attention to detail that comes with doing that. So for major tasks or things you really want to get done, I would very much urge you to focus on just that one task. If you've done what I said before in making a list and making sure that it's prioritized, you should be able to focus on the highest priority item or the most impactful item, and then get that done, and then move on to the next one and on to the next one. And if you're just bouncing in between, you'll probably get lost and end up getting distracted, and it's just a mess, and it really just wastes time. So you want to make sure you avoid doing that. So my next tip for you guys is to monitor the time you spend idle. And what I mean by that is think about and start paying attention to the time you spend sitting in front of the TV, browsing the internet, playing games, all this kind of thing. Now I know it's, for a lot of people, a great way to unwind, it's how you might relax, but you might be surprised by how much time you spend scrolling around on social media, or how much time you actually spend in front of the TV per week. You might only think it's 15 minutes on your phone here or there, or an hour in front of the TV, but if you start tallying it up and really paying attention, you might find that you're spending 3 or 4 hours a day on your phone, or 3 or 4 hours a day in front of the TV or something on average. This is, the best way to claw back that time is just to put a hard cut on it and say, okay, I'm going to be a bit more mindful of this, and I'm going to cut it at an hour or at 2 hours. And that'll give you, potentially a couple of extra hours you could use to do other more productive things. I'm not trying to take away your fun, but I think a lot of people don't realize just how much of a time drain these things can be. And, it's not great for you. Of course, it feels nice and relaxing, but being in an idle state like that where you're not using your mind, it's really not going to be the most efficient use of your time and the most productive thing you could be doing. So I would try and focus on extracting the most value from different activities as you can. So if you want to have fun, try and pinpoint what part of things are fun for you. Is it the community aspect, spending time with people, seeing people? Try and focus on doing those things more intentionally, rather than trying to sort of cope by scrolling your social media feed or just listening to voices on TV because they're there. Those things probably won't benefit you as much as being a little bit more focused, spending a bit more time in the right areas, and then also trying to prioritize where you can derive the most joy as well in your free time. Second last tip for you guys today is to exercise and eat well. In about 10 minutes after this video, I'll be heading out to the gym, and I've been a regular gym goer for 7-8 years or something now, since I was in my teens. You've probably heard the benefits that exercise can have on your mental health and your ability to think and concentrate and get tasks done, as well as the effect that a balanced diet and, of course, getting regular sleep and things can do for your concentration and your ability to absorb information and things. These things aren't myths, they're very true. There's a lot of evidence to back that up. There's whole communities that will tell you the effects that exercise and diet can have on you as a person, just improving all areas of things. But I've noticed it firsthand in myself when I started exercising in my teens. I found that I could concentrate better and longer. I was able to click into my flow state a little bit quicker. I wasn't so lethargic, I wasn't so tired. I had a lot more energy to do things. I was a lot more motivated to do things, and that's in all areas, not just professionally but personally as well. So I found that really the investment of 30 minutes to an hour most days to get some exercise in, and just watching what you eat, trying to eat a little bit cleaner, maybe skip the dessert a little bit more if you haven't been. These things will make a big impact, and you might not notice it on day 1 or day 2, but after you've done it for a couple of months consistently, you'll definitely notice. And if you have been doing it for a couple of months consistently and you don't think you are noticing, I would challenge you that if you did stop for a couple of days, you would definitely notice the slowdown. So there's so many great things that can be said for exercise and eating well, and I think they'll be very important for your time management skills, as well as many other things. So my final tip for you guys today is to learn to delegate. Now, this is something that I've struggled with quite a lot as well. Learning to delegate is a very important skill, especially in the professional world or in the academic world if you're a student. If you take the example of a group project, if you're at university or something, it's very common for some people that like to do things a certain way, or are very particular, or want to do very well. They'll try and take on as much responsibility themselves as they can, and they'll try and do as much as they can, and it happens in the workplace as well. People won't want to relinquish any responsibility. They'll want to just sort of hoard everything, do everything, be seen as the master. But the problem is, if you don't learn to delegate, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to have too much responsibility on your plate eventually. There's going to be too much going on. You can't handle it. Then you won't be able to do a good job of these things. And this can lead to a lot of problems, because you're going to be so daunted by all the stuff you have to do that you're no longer going to be able to focus and do a good job, as well as you're going to have all these other people around you kind of sitting idle and not really appreciating all the great work that you're doing or that you're able to do. And by delegating, you give other people the opportunity to show that they can do things and to build some rapport and trust with them as well. So I think it's a great time management skill to learn to delegate and to Start small, you know, if you're not comfortable with it or you're new to delegating, but just be comfortable with the fact that other people make mistakes. We all learn at different rates. You can genuinely tell, I think, when someone is giving something a good go or when they're, you know, when they're trying to pull a shifty on you. So if you think that someone's, you know, trying to take you for a ride and they're not going to do a good job, then obviously be mindful of that. But generally you can tell when someone's tried and they've just made a mistake or something like that. So I would urge you to not be too critical, learn that people make mistakes and just consider it a learning opportunity. It's going to benefit both them to learn a new skill, and it's going to benefit you in the long run as well, being able to delegate some tasks, clear up your schedule and do some more valuable things with your time so that you can keep moving up and they keep moving up in whatever situation you're in, whether it's professional or in the personal world, whatever it is. But that's my final tip, I think, on time management. So in the interest of time management and keeping things short, I won't go on any further. Thanks again for watching the video, guys. Please subscribe for more videos, like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll have a blog post link in the description on this topic as well. Once again, I'm Alex. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.